Some days you talk, work, scroll, yet feel like background noise in someone else's life. Not because you're silent, but because no one's really looking. Tonight, we try 3 small words that can change the temperature of a room. I see you. No magic, no performance. Just attention shaped into a sentence. In the next minutes, we'll slow down, name one real detail, and let silence carry the rest. You'll watch shoulders lower, voices return to color, time make a little more room. If no one told you today, I see you, here now, showing up. Ready? Take a breath. Let's learn how to say it so it holds. Let's take the feeling we've named and turn it so the light hits the mechanics. When a person says, I see you, 3 small engines start humming beneath the floorboards of the moment, and each one shifts the room by a few degrees until breathing is easier. First engine, attention as affection. You know this already in your bones. When someone puts their phone face down, angles their body toward you, and lets a beat of silence arrive before you speak, your nerves read it as shelter. Attention isn't neutral. It's a kind of touch that doesn't need hands. Even without declarations, the body decides. It's safer here than it was a second ago. Heart rate eases a notch. Shoulders unlocked by a centimeter. Floorboards of the moment. And each one shifts the room by a few degrees until breathing is easier. First engine, attention as affection. You know this already in your bones. When someone puts their phone face down, angles their body toward you, and lets a beat of silence arrive before you speak, your nerves read it as shelter. Attention isn't neutral. It's a kind of touch that doesn't need hands. Even without declarations, the body decides. It's safer here than it was a second ago. Heart rate eases a notch. Shoulders unlocked by a centimeter. The voice gets its color back. We like to call this vibes. But it's more specific than that. Your system is always scanning for cues. Eyes that stay, posture that softens, tone that steadies. When those cues gather, the door between inside and outside unbolts. A person comes forward. Second engine, recognition precedes agreement. We often try to solve people the way we solve a math problem. Propose, argue, conclude. But human beings don't unfold on command. Agreement is a late-stage privilege. Recognition is the doorway. I see you is permission for reality to show up without wearing a costume. It does not surrender judgment or erase differences. It simply refuses to negotiate a person's existence. Before I tell you where I stand, I show you where you stand. Here, in front of me, not reduced to your most recent sentence or your most inconvenient feeling. When that switch flips, when presence is granted before persuasion, the defensiveness in the room loses oxygen. You stop speaking like a bodyguard. I stop listening like a lawyer. Now we can consider things together instead of at each other. Third engine, language is action. We pretend words are labels we stick on top of a moment, but sometimes words make the moment. Think of a referee saying out, a judge saying guilty, a friend saying stay. The sentence doesn't describe, it performs. I see you is a tiny performative, an action disguised as sound. It draws a circle around a person and says, this is not invisible. Inside that circle, possibilities change. People dare to correct themselves, to take ownership, to ask for what they actually need, because the air supports the weight of honesty. The sentence is small. The permission it grants is not. If we look closer, we can notice micromechanics that ride along with those engines. Specificity steadies a bridge. I see you floats if it stays abstract. Add one real detail and it lands. I see you working late this week. I see you choosing careful words. I see you showing up even when it rains. Details turn kindness into contact. They prove you are here. Brevity guards sincerity. Long speeches can spoil the fruit. Too many words begin to sound like a pitch. The human ear distrusts escalation. A simple line, placed gently, survives a cynic in both of us. Say it, let silence carry the rest. Posture tells the truth your mouth is trying to say. Face relaxed, chin neutral, eyes steady but not drilling holes. A fractional nod. A breath that doesn't rush the answer you haven't heard yet. Your body can't fake respect for long, but it can demonstrate it in half a second. Naming without annexing. When you say what you notice, You're not taking ownership of the other person's story. You're setting a mirror at a kind angle. I see you angry is not, I know why. I see you trying is not, here's the finish line I expect. Witness, not verdict. Safety before strategy. Most of our worst conversations try to move too fast. Fix, correct, redirect. But people don't learn while braced. They don't collaborate while ducking. I see you lowers the guard just enough for the next sentence to matter. Only then do tactics have a place. And here's a quieter truth humming under the others. Being seen regulates time. In invisibility, minutes are slippery. You talk too fast or not at all. In recognition, time lengthens by a finger width. There is space to check your words before you compromise them. There is space to place your feeling on the table without it rolling off the edge. This is why tiny acknowledgments often feel bigger than grand gestures. They don't buy affection. They buy room. Room is where dignity stretches its legs. If you ever felt a conversation thaw after the simplest acknowledgement, I see you're frustrated. I see you made an effort. I see you're here even though you don't have to be. You've met these engines at work. Nothing dramatic changed. Same fluorescent light. Same chairs, same deadline. But the scaffolding of the moment shifted from extraction to encounter. That shift doesn't promise agreement or happy endings. It promises accuracy. We are two humans present. From there, almost anything good has a chance. So when we practice, I see you, we're not decorating speech with niceness. We're adjusting the architecture of attention. We're choosing recognition as the first move, not the reward. We're using language as a small lever that tilts the room toward reality. If we can do that 3 times today, concretely, briefly, with our bodies telling the same truth as our words, the world we move through becomes a fraction more inhabitable. That's not sentiment. That's craft. There's a way a room forgets you while you're still inside it. It's not cruel on purpose. It's just busy. The air is full of errands pretending to be meaning. You speak, and your words drift like dandelion seeds that never find soil. You laugh at the right places. You nod with professional timing. You keep your calendar obedient. Yet something in your chest keeps knocking from the inside, asking for a witness and getting a checklist instead. Watch how invisibility begins, not with silence, but with almost. Almost being heard. Almost getting asked. Almost being in the photo. In the open office. You pitch a thought you rehearse on the walk over. Someone repeats it louder 3 minutes later, and the table finally nods. On the video call, your square lights up, a notification erupts, the rhythm moves on without you like a bus that doesn't see your hand. At dinner, plates pass, stories collide. And the moment you choose a sentence, the conversation takes a corner you weren't invited to turn. You tell yourself it's nothing because nothing is easier to carry than a name for a wound. The body catalogs these tiny vanishings with forensic precision. Shoulders inch toward the ears as if to hide the heart behind bone. The jaw learns to park a smile like a car on a hill. Handbrake up, ready to roll away. Eyes scan for exits, bathroom, balcony, the refuge of, I've got an email. Breath thins until speech becomes a series of receipts. Proof you were present, not proof you were met. You start using smaller verbs. It's fine, no worries, all good. Punctuation that keeps you from asking a room to soften around you. There are places where being unseen is a kind of uniform. The supermarket checkout, where the line measures your worth in item count. The hospital corridor where the second hand on the wall is louder than your questions. The bus where the driver knows the geography of everyone else's urgency and no one knows theirs. The classroom where a quiet student completes sentences in the margins while the loudest ideas win the board. The call center where your voice puts out 1,000 little fires and no one sees the smoke it leaves in your throat. In these places, you learn to shrink your needs down to travel size. Sometimes invisibility looks like competence. You are the person who always has it handled, which is to say, the person no one thinks to ask, how are you actually? You run point, you anticipate, you fill in. The smoother the day goes, the less anyone knows your hands were there. Your reward is often the absence of complaint. Excellence has a camouflage problem. When you do it well enough, it disappears. You can start to believe that being indispensable is the same as being known. It isn't. You can be necessary and still be a mystery to the people you feed. Sometimes invisibility looks like kindness. You sense the temperature. You lower your voice. You make a joke right when a room needs a bridge. You let others arrive fully. You arrive in pieces. You call this empathy, and it is, but it's also a way to stay safe. If you're busy being the air other people breathe, who will notice you're gasping? You aren't manipulating. You're protecting. You learn that rooms are kinder to helpers and askers, so you became expert at providing oxygen and amateur at asking for it. The world will take that deal all day if you let it. Sometimes invisibility looks like survival. There are histories you carry that taught you attention can be a blade. You learn to step sideways, to be careful where your light lands, because eyes were not always gentle when they found you. So you kept your joy on a dimmer, moved your grief to after hours, edited your opinions into the safest possible shapes. You became readable to everyone but yourself. You chose predictability over being met. It worked until it didn't, because a life that never risks being seen also never gets to rest. And then there are the micro scenes only you notice because you become fluent in them. The way a friend's laugh rises by half a note when they're about to be interrupted. The way a colleague's pen stops moving when they surrendered an idea mid-sentence. The way your own hand covers your mouth for a second before you say, "No." You go ahead. The way you practice answers on the walk home to questions nobody asked. You've grown so good at collecting these signals in others that you've forgotten you're broadcasting them too. None of this makes you weak. It makes you precise. You are sensitive to the physics of rooms. You can feel where attention pools and where it evaporates. You can predict where a sentence will be swatted down and where it might land. But sensitivity without recognition corrodes. If no one names what's happening, you begin to rewrite the story in cruel grammar. Maybe I'm boring. Maybe I'm too much. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe the room is right about me. The room is not always right about you. Often the room is busy being a room. So let's place a marker here before we attempt any fix. The ache you feel when you are passed by is not vanity. It is architecture. Humans are built to co-regulate attention and safety. When a steady gaze meets us without demand, the body lowers its guard. When we disappear mid-thought, the body raises it again. This isn't self-esteem coaching. It's wiring. You are not defective for wanting a witness. You're honest. Invisibility has a sound, if you listen. The soft, oh, people make when they almost speak and don't. The tiny scrape of a chair as someone leans back instead of in. The throat clear that apologizes for existing. It has a taste. The metallic afterglow of a joke you told about yourself so no one else would. It has a temperature, a draft across the back of your neck, even in warm rooms. It has a weight, light enough to ignore until one day it's not, and you realize you've been carrying absence like luggage. Here's a turn we're making, gentle but exact. We're not accusing the world. We're naming the weather so we can dress for it. We're acknowledging that most rooms aren't designed to see people. They're designed to move projects. If we wait for a perfect architecture, we'll keep shrinking to fit the blueprint. Instead, we will practice a small, portable act of renovation. We will notice a person say so out loud in one sentence that doesn't ask anything back. We will become the witness we keep wishing would walk in. Before we do, take inventory of your own signals. Where you go when you disappear? Sarcasm, helpfulness, expertise, quiet? Which doorway do you stand in when you want to be seen, but are afraid to ask? Name it, not to shame yourself, but to catch yourself earlier next time. Imagine what would sound like if, right there, someone placed 3 simple words on the table between you and the noise. I see you, not to fix you, to locate you, to make the moment inhabitable again. If you recognize yourself here, you're not imagining things. You are not dramatic. You are not needy for wanting eye contact that holds without trapping, words that land without angling, presence that doesn't require performance. You are describing a human requirement, to register on another person's inner map. And if you don't receive it today, you can still offer it. You can practice the seeing the way musicians practice scales, quiet, consistent, in whatever room you're already in. The rooms may not change. People might. I want to try something small with you. Not a speech, not a life hack, just 3 words the size of a doorway. Before we walk through it, notice the room you're in right now. The hum of the light, the draft under the door, the ache behind her eyes that you keep calling fine. Notice how easy it is to pass by a person, even yourself, like a blur in the corner of the frame. We keep moving because moving is cheaper than feeling, and we keep talking because silence sometimes sounded a verdict. And yet, underneath the clatter of our days, there's this soft, stubborn hope. Maybe what hurts is not the lack of answers, but the lack of being seen. Imagine a train car, fluorescent light, plastic seats, that tired chrome that knows too many mornings. Everyone is there, and no one is present. A woman practices a conversation she'll never have. A student scrolls with the same thumb he uses to hold down his fear. A man pretends to sleep, so he won't have to offer his seat or his story. Look at their faces, maps with the names rubbed off. Look at your own. Practice mask, half smile. The I'm good, you say like a stamp on an envelope that never gets mailed. In places like this, the world is full and empty at once. We call it normal. We survive it. But something in us keeps reaching for a gentler geometry. Rooms where people arrive and are allowed to exist before they are asked to perform. That's where our experiment begins. Not with applause, not with advice. With 3 words, I see you. They are not magic. They will not pay your rent or heal your grief. But if we use them honestly, they can bend the atmosphere of a moment. Because attention is not a neutral thing. It is a form of touch, a way of saying, your life is not background noise to mine. Most of us are starving for that sentence, and we don't even have the appetite to admit it. We've taught ourselves to be efficient with our needs. Compress them, label them, hide them in a folder called later. Meanwhile, what we actually want is disarmingly simple. A witness. Someone to stand at the edge of our ordinary and nod. Today, we are going to practice witnessing. We will listen for what bodies do when they are not seen. The dropping shoulders, the swallowed laugh, the sentence that takes a fire escape instead of the front door. We will name what happens when a small beam of attention enters a room. The way hands unclench, the way voices thicken into full color, the way time slows just enough for a person to catch up with themselves. And then we'll try it in real places with real people for real stakes. We'll learn how to say, I see you without turning it into a performance, without the hidden hook of, so now do what I want. No sermons, no optics, just presence shaped into syllables. Maybe you worry this is sentimental. Maybe you stood in enough rooms where language was a trick to make you less yourself. I respect that worry. This series is not here to make you soft in a world that sharpens itself on people like you. It's here to make you precise. To remind you that recognition is not the same as agreement. That attention is not the same as approval. I see you does not mean you're right or you win. It means you are here, and I will meet you at the level of reality before I try to move you anywhere else. It means we will fix our gaze on the person, not the performance, on the presence, not the pitch. Here is a promise. In the next minutes, I will show you how 3 words can change the temperature of a conversation. We'll explore the mechanics, why the nervous system reads steady attention as safety, why specificity matters more than volume, why brevity protects truth from the kind of overtalk that bruises it. I'll give you a small ritual, a pause to clear space, a concrete detail to anchor meaning, a silence to let it land. We'll test it in environments that usually grind this kind of thing to dust, offices that mistake speed for wisdom, group chats that reward snark, families where I love you learn to dress up as logistics. You'll see side-by-side moments, the version where someone's effort disappears under the noise, and the version where that same effort gets named, and how that naming gently rearranges what people think they can be together. But first, I want to speak to the part of you that still doubts this is worth it. You have history. You tried to be seen and someone made a joke. You tried again and someone made it about themselves. You learned to shrink your truth to fit inside a no worries. You learned to leave your joy at the door in case it was too loud for the room. So when I say, I see you, a watchman in your chest reaches for the alarm. Good. Let him stand there. Tell him we're not asking the world for permission to exist. We're practicing a craft. The craft of locating a person inside a moment and placing a gentle marker there You are not invisible here. This is not a self-help trick. It's a civic act dressed as a sentence. It's a way to make small places livable without waiting for institutions to become kind. When you and I say, "I see you," we stitch the air between us into something that can carry weight. We say it to the colleague who does the work that only gets noticed when it fails. We say it to the friend who fills the room with laughter because they're scared of what enters in quiet. We say it to the parent who keeps the family held together with errands and weather reports and a patience that never makes it to the highlight reel. We say it, even to the stranger at the counter, with just enough detail to feel real. I see you handling everyone's impatience and staying gentle. 5 seconds, a small transfer of oxygen. Here's what you can expect from this episode. No empty inspiration. No commandments. Just a recalibration of attention. Tested on camera. Explained in plain words. Offered as a habit you can carry into tomorrow. We'll begin with the shape of invisibility. The social physics of being overlooked. We'll move to the engine behind recognition. Why naming a real detail grants dignity without granting dominance. We'll practice the ritual until it fits in your mouth without shaking. And then, yes, we'll go outside and risk the awkwardness of using it. If we do it right, you'll leave not with a quote to post, but with a line you can say in the actual heat of your day when someone's light is flickering. Before we start, I'll go first. If no one said it to you today, if the world sped past your effort like it always does, if you carried more than your share and called it nothing, I see you. I see you showing up tired. I see you keeping promises that no one tracks but you. I see you choosing not to harden. Even when hardening would be easier, you don't need me to see you to be real. But sometimes reality needs a witness to feel like it can breathe. So take one breath with me, the kind that returns your body to yourself. Look at your hands. Notice the tremor. Notice the steadiness under the tremor. There's room here for you. There's room here for the people you'll meet after this video ends. 3 words, 1 door. Let's open it and step through together.